Austin Alley gives you your first original song, right? Boombox?
So it wasn't with Austin Alley. People always think that.
Why is that in the, like, that is literally in my breakdown
She
here.
said people often think that. So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
what's going on here?
that was with Big Machine. That was the first. That was the song with.
You were with Big Machine.
I was with Big Machine.
So 2016 Boombox comes out, but you did in 2013 record your first ever song for the soundtrack.
Yes.
Turn It Up.
For the soundtrack was called Turn It Up, yeah.
What song do you do for that album?
Well, it was an Austin Alley song. So it was like I had written an original song, which was really cool. It was my first like co-write session ever too, a song called I'm Finally Me. And then my character had kind of gotten over her stage fright and was like starting to sing, and so I had some original songs on the soundtrack.
Did you have original songs ready to go when they asked for it, or did you have to like?
So the one that they used in the show that I wrote specifically for the show. So it was like the brief was a song for my character who is officially gone over her stage fright and her first like song from that. And that song it was called I'm Finally Me. But then the other songs were just, they weren't like I didn't write them. They were just for the show.
I mean, when you get that task, is that I'm assuming that's something you wanted, right? You wanted to be challenged like that.
Yes, 100%. Oh yeah, 100%. And to be honest, I was very vocal about wanting to do music for the show, and especially wanting to do original music because I love songwriting. I'm way more interested in writing and singing a song that I wrote than just like singing a song that I didn't write. So yeah, I was very much like not just up for the challenge, but like wanting it and very like vocally wanting it, being like, I should write a song for the show and blah, blah, blah. And then they let me.
Were you writing from your perspective or from the character's perspective?
From the character's perspective.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Which is really fun to do, to be honest. Yeah.
Is there anything on this debut album that is written from somebody else's perspective?
No.
All yours?
All me, yeah.
It's deeply personal.
It's so personal, yeah.
And it flows like a show. It's giving actress. It's giving
actress. It's giving movie. It's giving a story. Yes, I definitely very much wanted to feel a bit cinematic.
It hits.
Do you have a favorite?
I mean, the first record I listened to is fucking amazing, but it also, that first song has the lyric.
Yeah, it has the title.
Yeah,
100%.
It's so good. And that's like really just it's just a beautiful way to come at it. Like, yeah, you fake emotions all day, every day. But the thought of like being with somebody that like, I don't know, that brings out the most honest feelings and emotions from you, it hits on numerous levels.
It's scary. Oh my God, I was like petrified to put this out. And
Really?
Especially the interludes I feel like are the most personal.
Well, have I reached my peak? That must be a scary one because you're like, I'm still so young, but like, is my career done?
Totally. And it was like, I remember, so like the interludes, this album was written for like over years and years, right? One song's from 2015, a couple songs from 2017, but all the interludes are from like this year. 2023. I'm also like, are we still in 2023? Okay, we are. I think, right? But so yeah, I remember this was just a hard year, which it wasn't the year I expected to write and work and release my debut album in, but maybe it was the year that needed to happen for me to do it because the interludes, I think, would not have happened without it being as tough of a year as it was. And part of the toughness was me just really struggling career-wise of like just feeling like a loss of purpose, feeling a loss of like creativity, feeling a loss of like self and identity into that. And so I think that song really came from those feelings, and again, like processing those feelings. And that's like, I feel such a big fear of so many people, and especially people who have had success at a younger age, and feeling like, oh my God, I have so much more to give, but maybe I don't. Maybe I've given the best of myself already. And that's so scary because I feel so young. It's like, it's a really scary place to be. And I was like, well, I'm just going to write a song from it. And that's what I did.
And what do you learn from writing that record? Where do you end up after it?
I think it was so healing to write it and put it out, but I certainly wouldn't say that I'm like on the other side of it yet. But I definitely felt I felt a sense of relief when I finished writing the interlude. I finished them in like June of this year, like right before the album was like turned in. And I remember that was honestly as sad and personal as those songs are and vulnerable. That was my favorite part of the process because I got to get so weird with like creating them. And, you know, we like recorded some vocals in the bathroom. Like it was just like weird what we were doing, and it was fun and it was healing. But I certainly wouldn't say that I'm like, okay, now I've processed everything and resolved every issue I had in my head. And I wouldn't say that, but I feel like I'm one step closer.
So you build this album off of songs that you've written over a bunch of different years, and then you try to connect them all by building the interludes afterwards?
I think in my process of picking the songs, there were a lot of songs I still didn't include. So I write for my last EP, the Us EP, that was heavily about my breakup. And I can't stop writing. I'm like, oh my God, I can't stop. And I knew I wanted to like finish this like trilogy of EPs. I had the Me EP, I had the You EP, and I wanted to finish with the Us EP. So I didn't want to like make it an album, but I was like, oh my God, I can't stop writing. I feel like I'm finally ready for an album. So I, have that in the back of my head. I release this EP, I go on tour. And all the while I'm like, okay, I have songs. I'm ready for an album. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what it is, but I know for the first time ever, I feel like, okay, I'm ready and I'm pursuing this and I'm doing it, in 2023. And then I come up with that lyric. I can't, I may be an actress, but I can't fake how I feel. And that, I remember being in the parking garage and getting that lyric in my head and being like, it just changed everything for me because I was like, wait, this is not just a breakup album. This is an album about me, which sounds silly and obvious and like, duh, but it never occurred to me that this album should just be about me and my identity and dealing with loneliness and dealing with, I think, this career that I've had that has been a part of my life for, the majority of my life and all the things in my life that have been shaped because of this career. And so all of a sudden, every song that I wanted to include in this album, I wanted to include because it helped tell that story. So the songs that were from a while ago, they were included because they helped tell that story. There are plenty of songs that I love that I almost included, but it just didn't really tell that story. And then, while I was making the interstitials, continuing to shape the story around those interstitials was definitely the goal and what I try to do at least.
What song is from 2015?
Brand New Heart.
Why was that vital to the story you're trying to tell?
Two things. So one, I wasn't even thinking about that song, to be honest with you. And then it got the opportunity to be in a movie I was going to be in. And I was like, I sent like a Dropbox of a bunch of music to the music supervisor. And I was like, oh, wait, I remember this song. And I remember like listening to it and being like, oh, I'm identifying and resonating with it way more now than I was back then, about like feeling like, okay, I've been hurt. I've fallen down numerous times, but I'm not going to treat myself as this fragile, delicate person. I'm going to keep getting up, and scars and all, and just like love hard, do things hard, and do what I can. And so I also felt like it's one of the most upbeat songs on the album, and I felt like the album sonically needed that a little bit because there's a lot of really, really like slower, sad, kind of down songs. There are for sure. And so it kind of felt right to have that song in it. But to be honest, a big reason at first was because I was going to get a sync with it.
That's sick. I mean, the sync is sick.
Yeah, but the idea that I was happy that I resonated with it way more now as well.
What type of new meaning does it take?
I think when I wrote it, I almost like smile sadly and like laugh at myself a little bit when I wrote it, because I feel like whatever feelings I was putting in at that time, I have experienced like tenfold since then. So I think in a lot of ways it was just, there was a nostalgia with it, and also this level of just being like, wow, I'm like miles and miles from where I was when I wrote it in 2015. And And now I feel like I've earned the song a little bit more. I feel like I didn't really earn it when I wrote it in 2015, what the lyrics were and what it meant, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's interesting.